Hello, ladies and gentle aspirants. Welcome back to the bridge connecting the aspirants. In this video, I am going to share reference books for science and technology for UPSc preparation along with their contents. So let us dive into the content. So let us begin with our NCERT books. Here remember from 6th class to 10th class, you have to cover all the books and all chapters as well. There is no exception. You have to cover from page to page. I'll explain why. And later on, in the higher standards, like from 12th onwards, the science books they diversify into biology, chemistry, and physics. There we don't have to cover all the chapters. Some specific chapters will be sufficient. I'll be discussing them elaborately. So, all right, let us get into the actual video. First and foremost, let us begin with the 6th class NCERT science book. See, all the books from 6th class to 10th class, they look voluminous, but they are very simple and we have to cover from page to page. So this 6th class book at least cover chapters from 8th to 12th. Like these chapters, the later sections of the each and every science book from 6th to 10th, they are dedicated to environment, so you have to cover them. It is a win-win situation for both science and environment, so cover all the chapters. Now moving on to the 7th class book. So 7th class science book, here also you have to cover all the chapters, but give special focus on chapters 16, 17 and 18 and the later sections, because all of them they deal with environment. This book particularly focuses on plants and animals. Plants and animals. Next, moving on, the 8th class science book. Here also you have to cover all the chapters. This particular book deals with force, pressure, friction, types of frictional forces, and sound, light, cell, different constituents of a cell, and reproduction system, etc. So cover all the chapters, and particular emphasis must be given to the 18th chapter, which discusses about pollution. Clear? So these are the chapters that you have to cover. Now going on, 9th class book for science. So this particular book, it covers the physics part. That is, it discusses about atoms, the constituents of an atom, and laws of motions, different types of motion like Newton's first law, second law, third law. And it also discusses about the gravitational pull, and sound sound and natural resources. So cover all the chapters from 9th class book as well. Then moving on to the 10th class book. Here, like 9th class book discusses the physics part, this 10th class book discusses chemistry part. Here, different reactions, types of reactions like and acids, bases, salts, how to determine which is acid, what is the test to confirm it is an acid or base, what is their pH values are discussed here. And it also discusses about organic chemistry, that is the chemistry of carbon and its carbon compounds. So from there it connects with the organism and evolution of the organism. Yes, evolution and heredity, that is how one organism gets its characters from its ancestors. It has been discussed here. Further, the 15th chapter, so please focus on 15th chapter. It discusses about our environment, a dedicated chapter on environment. So these are the contents of 10th class. So all the books from 6th class to 10th class, you have to cover all of them from chapter to chapter. Now moving on to 11th class book. So in the 11th class science book, three separate books are there. One is for biology, another one is for physics and chemistry. Biology, physics and chemistry. The same is true for 12th class books as well, both 11th and 12th. Now let us get into the 11th class biology book. So here you don't have to read all the chapters, only cover two units, unit 4 and unit 5. These two units cover chapters from 11 to 22 chapters. So unit 4 deals with animals. Clear? Animals, that is the classification of animals into different phylums and kingdoms and their processes and functions that happens within them. The same thing is explained in chapter 5 with respect to plants. So what you have studied in the 7th class book, you can correlate with 11th class biology. It is more descripted one. So here as well you can see different classification of plants and different parts of the plant. For example, leaf, stem, root and flower and their significance and different processes, reproduction, respiration that happens within a plant are discussed here. Clear? Now moving on to the physics book of 11th class. Here read only chapter 5, which deals with laws of motions. Laws of motion. Newton's first law of motion, second law of motion and third law of motion and its applications, which we have already discussed about laws of motions in 9th class. So this is now further extension of the same. Clear? And another chapter that you have to cover is 8th chapter, which discusses about gravity or gravitation. That is the gravitational force, its significance and applications. Clear? Now moving on to chemistry book. See, the chemistry book of 11th class, you have to cover only the 14th chapter. The 14th chapter is environmental chemistry, or you can say the application of chemistry or significance of chemistry in environment. Meaning, so different reactions that takes place in the environment. For example, formation of certain oxides like carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide or nitrogen oxides, etc. and the acid rains, smog, etc. are discussed here. So whatever the chemical reactions that take place in environment, as a result what are the pollutants that are formed are discussed here along with their remedies. Clear? So this is the only chapter that you have to cover. Now moving on to the 12th class. In 12th class as well, in biology you don't have to cover all the chapters. Cover chapters from 8th to 16. Chapters from 8 to 16. Particularly the chapters, they deal with biology in human welfare. That is how biology can help human development. How can biology is the living of humans? So that has been discussed here, human development. So for example, applications of biology in health and food security. That is, how can we supplement our food, how can we improve the nutrition of the food and the biomicrobes, microorganism and their role. For example, how can we apply them in the bioremediation, that is reducing the pollution, or even in medical making of antibiotics, so etc. are discussed. Then the chapters particularly from 13 to 16, they focus on ecology. So it's a highly important chapters because there is separate section in our syllabus on environment, ecology and biodiversity. So it discusses all of them: ecology, ecosystem, what is an ecosystem, and biodiversity and its conservation of the biodiversity. All of them are discussed in this book. So this is very important book. Read all these chapters from page to page and supplement your knowledge with the additional research on the Google. Clear? Now moving on to the physics book. Here read only chapter 15, The chapter 15 of the physics book, it deals with communication satellites. So what is the role of communication satellites, where they are placed, for example geosynchronous or geostationary orbit, and different types of communications that are available through them. And please update your info with ISRO's latest editions, for example GSAT and all, because whatever the material that is provided in here is little bit outdated. Okay, so read this chapter particularly because it is going to help us in space technology. Clear? Now moving on to the next book, chemistry. In chemistry, read only chapter 16. So the name of the chapter is chemistry in everyday life. Everyday life. That is how chemistry can help us in day-to-day life. So here the special focus is on chemotherapy, that is the applications of chemistry in the medicine, and food preservatives. One is chemotherapy, another one is food preservatives. There are some chemical agents which will increase our food shelf life, so that the food will not be spoiled for a long period of time. It increases our food security. Next, there are certain artificial sugars, right? Artificial sugars are there, sweetening agents are there, it discusses about them. And finally it also discusses about disinfectants, मतलब जो माइक्रोब्स है, माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिजम्स है, जो हार्मफुल पैथोजेंस है, उनको मारने वाला. फॉर एग्जांपल अभी रिसेंटली कोविड 19 को कंटेन करने के लिए हम क्या कर रहे हैं, वी आर यूजिंग सोडियम हाइपोक्लोराइड एज ए डिसइंफेक्टेंट टू सैनिटाइज द एरियाज. ठीक है, सो ऐसे सर्टेन डिसइंफेक्टेंट्स के बारे में और उसका कंपोजिशन के बारे में यहाँ पर बताते हैं. सो दीज आर द कंटेंट्स ऑफ all the science books from 6th class to 12th class. I hope this is clear. Now moving on to technology part. There is no specific reference book for technology. You can go with the compilations of reputed coaching institutions, for example Insights on India or IAS Baba or Vision. You can buy their booklet on science and technology and you can read it from there. Here technology part, it covers nuclear technology, space technology, and biotechnology, nanotechnology, and e-technology, that is electronic based technology. All of them you have to cover, right? So the best source for them is daily current affairs. Follow the Hindu paper regularly. So by this you can add whatever the new developments that are happening in the technology, because science is theoretical part or conceptual part, the application of science is nothing but technology. So whatever the applications that come in the real life, they constitute technology part and they can only be updated with the help of daily newspapers. So this is it guys, I hope this has given some clarity to you. So please do comment if you have any queries, I'll respond within 24 hours, and do subscribe. Thank you very much.